Welcome to Making Waves podcast. I'm Spencer Harman, president of Wave. Join me as we explore how to scale your business through prospecting with top experts who share their secrets to success. Now buckle up and let's start making waves. Hey everyone, we have an awesome guest with us today, Cameron Williams from KynLi Consulting. Now, when we talk consulting, specifically finance consulting, around your accounting, fractional CFO, what you need to do with your money. I don't know about you. For me, I'm kind of like, not as interesting, not as cool. I just want to think about growing. And when we get into the details of finance, lack of a better word, kind of boring to me. However, Cameron is the man. He is so fun to talk to, and he's going to give some awesome advice and tips as we get into this today. Cameron is the man. You're going to love the tips that he offers today. Stick around. Here we go. All right, everyone. Welcome, Cameron Williams from KynLi Consulting. Cameron, we go back a little bit, right? A little over a year, I think, is when we first met. And I think we've talked about doing this podcast for a bit now. So thank you for jumping on. I appreciate it. I know you're just swamped, crazy busy, but appreciate it, man, so much.
Wow.
Okay, before we get into what you're doing right now, let's just get a little brief bio on you, kind of your family and the setup there.
All right, cool. So thank you for having me again. I'm Cameron Williams, owner of KynLi Consulting. We're here in Atlanta, Georgia. We've been doing this for 6 years now. Just a little bit of background on me. Born and raised in Atlanta, went to college at Valdosta State, which, if you don't know where that is, basically like 10 or 15 minutes from the Georgia-Florida border. Graduated with my bachelor's in accounting, bachelor's in finance, and master's in accounting. Went into what we would call public accounting, which is like your bookkeeping, audit, and tax field. Then moved back up here to Atlanta after doing that for about 2 years. And got into private, which would be like being an accountant at Coca-Cola or something like that. So I moved around to about 4 companies. Then life happened, and then turned into what is now KynLi Consulting. Been married for 10 and a half years now, 3 kids, 9, 7, and 2. So it is always very interesting at my house. We have a dog, so you
Okay.
put that in there and stir it up. It's a lot.
Yeah.
But that's been a fun journey there. So yeah, that's background. In regards to who we are and what we do, we're a strategic consulting and fractional CFO firm. We started out ironically just doing regular bookkeeping. We keep that clean for you, but then our clients started asking for more. Cameron, tell me about taxes. How can I prep for this? How can I set budgets? Can we do some models and things of that nature? So we've now kind of morphed into that just because we feel like the accounting industry as a whole does a terrible job of giving value. I don't know why. We think, for example, like, hey, these are office supplies. You don't need me to tell you that. You are smart. You already know that. What you do need me to tell you are things like, can we hire? And if so, can we do that right now? Or does that need to get pushed out for another quarter? What you need me to tell you is, hey, you want to go buy this other agency, but is it a great purchase? Like, what are they trying to hide? Or is it good to go? Like, we can look at their financials and say, hey, cash flow is looking weird here. Did you ask about this? Or help you to better structure the deal so that you win and not just the seller. Of course, saving on tax, like that's what you're asking us, not just, thank you. Because you know how it is.
Yeah.
Especially like, we send you these financials, and what you gonna do? You're gonna go, thank you.
Yeah.
And then you're not gonna read them, right? We try to take it above and beyond that just because we know it's important. And typically the marketing agency owner knows it's important. But when you are not comfortable or confident, or numbers make you anxious, or whatever word you like to use there, it's easy to avoid it because, well, most of the bills are paid. I know money's coming in through Stripe or QuickBooks, and people are for the most part getting paid. But you're doing yourself a disservice as a business owner because there are so many different insights you can get from those numbers if you just slow down and had somebody to walk through it with you. And that's what we do. So I think I covered all of your questions.
You nailed it, man. I mean, it was spot on. I do have some follow-up questions, and I think everyone will grasp this very quickly, listening and watching you. Um, when we first met, and I mean, we're sitting by each other, right, at an event, and I didn't know what you did. I had no idea what I assumed you were a marketing agency, and as we're talking, I was like, oh, this guy's so cool. And then I find out you're like in finance and bookkeeping, like boring industry, but that's not
Yeah,
you. Like you're so cool and fun to talk to. It's like, how do I work with this guy? Like this is who I want taking care of my money. Like
yeah,
I
yeah.
enjoy interacting with this guy. So that was the first thing that stood out to me. I was very surprised when I learned about your business. Um, but it leads into my question of, your background, schooling, and then professionally, all of a
Hmm.
sudden you make this jump, right?
Yeah.
To do your, consulting firm. What what happened there? What was the decision making process? What led you to kind of leaving that private corporate life into doing this?
Well, in all honesty, it was just life. So, the company I was working for at the time was the number one card processing company in the world. And if you guys don't know about card processing, essentially, like when you go to Kroger or whatever grocery store and you're swiping your debit card at the end of the night, all those transactions and that digital money gets pushed out, and the people who receive it was the company I worked for. So I was the accounting supervisor for the whole Canadian region. So I had like
Wow.
70 people working under me. You're talking about $10 million a day that you're seeing moving through, and that we had to reconcile daily, get it through and get all that going. And so what happened was they were relocating from Maryland to Atlanta. So they like hired a brand new accounting division. Nobody wanted to move except for like two or three people. So they did mass hires. Well, after 10 months, they started doing layoffs. But what they didn't tell us was that they were doing it across our level. So,
Mm.
they start the whole process of, oh, this is what you need to improve and paper trail you. And so then when they let me go, what I didn't know, I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, I'm terrible. I had a baby that was on the way like within 30 days.
Oh
I'm
gosh.
like, oh my gosh, I failed. I'm terrible. I found out the very next day that two other people got let go for the same exact reasoning on the same exact day. So if you've ever seen or heard of a friend getting let go, everybody gets let go for different reasons. No, ours was word for word the exact same, and it all happened on the same day. So that changed my perspective from like, oh, it's just me to like, man, y'all just overhired and needed a way to clear some money out.
Yeah. Yep.
And when I
Which a
thought
lot of that's
about it,
been going on pretty
which,
recently.
but mind
But
you, this was 2017, I believe.
okay.
So in my head, I'm like, and I started thinking about it. And when I thought about it, there were two other people that were my same positions, but like we had one for Canada, one for US, one for Asia. There were two other ones that left already. So when you add those two plus us three, you're talking about five people across the board. So I'm just like, hmm. So of course we had kid number two who now is 7. So she's kind of like how it's easier for me to remember. And so that was in I think August of 17. So we started the business in July of 2018, and that was the scary part, just surviving, trying to figure out what to do and how to pay bills and credit cards and groceries. Credit got messed up. We ironically got on food stamps and all of those things. So from there to where we are now, of course, is night and day. It was truly a very, very, very humbling experience because you go to college and you think, man, I got these degrees, I'm always be in demand. And up until that point, it was always easy for me to get a job. But long story short, God moves us into certain arenas for certain reasons. And I've been here. I've gotten to meet a lot of people all over the country, all over the world. I've helped a lot of people save a lot of money, make more money, serve them. So God's timing is good.
Yeah, it's such an amazing story. Um, that's crazy. And yeah, that feeling of I don't know of almost like you lose your worth because it's so your identity's tied so much into
I
like,
tell
yeah, the degrees,
them.
right? And like, okay,
Mhm.
what have I done professionally? And then when that gets kind of ripped away from you, it's like, what, who am I? You know? And yeah, for you to turn that around and to do what you've done is pretty astounding. That's awesome. So you go through some rough times, right? And then you start this. Um,
Mhm.
what made you kind of get into the marketing agency space, if I can say that, versus I don't know, other
Industries.
industries? Yeah.
Yeah. So ironically, I tried first, everybody starts out as a generalist, just whoever I need to pay these bills. So whoever. Then I tried to niche down to ironically recruiting firms at first.
Okay.
Just because the way they get paid like huge lump sums of money up front. But for whatever reason, I hired this guy to help me with my marketing. And when I tell you for 6 to 9 months, nothing was happening. He's just like, I'm not even gonna lie to you, man. I'm gonna just don't even re-up with me because like I don't know why, but you're the one person that's not working for it. And I'm like, all right, great. So I remember going back to my mentor, and she was like, well, you need to pick somebody that vibes with you better. She was like, recruiters are typically cheap, trying to negotiate every single thing. That's not who you need. So I'm like, well, what you think? You know me pretty well. We talk every day. And she said, why not marketing agencies? And I was like, what made you pick them? And she was like, well, they kind of fit your demographic. They're typically on the younger side, probably married, typically like to learn, etc. So she's like, and plus, if it don't work, you ain't married to it, in 6 months, switch. So I was like, all right. And so we started. I'm an all-in type person. So like if I'm gonna make up my mind to do it, like we do it. So for me, it was about, okay, what will set me apart? So not only just researching, but learning about the language and getting immersed in their culture, which is going to those same conferences and masterminds and webinars, talking to them, utilizing their language and our stuff. So that way we could communicate something as complicated as accounting and taxes in a way that was easy for them to understand. So we started that niche maybe in 2021, I'm gonna say, or 22. It's all a blur. I'm gonna say 21 because 3 years sounds right. And ever since then, people just love it. They're like, hey, I've had a generalist, but they don't understand what I'm talking about with ad spend, or
Yeah.
they
It,
think, oh, I'm just spending money on ads. They think I should just cut, cut, cut. And our philosophy is a lot different. Are there some things you need to cut? Yes, but I'm of the mindset that most people, especially when you start working with agencies that are making over 20, 30 grand, like if they're spending money on it, they know why they're spending money on it. There's a reason. So it's better for us to kind of build a client profile and understand the goals, the financial roadmap. Why do you want to do that? And then we can better support. Because in all honesty, and you know this, you fix a lot of stuff by just making more money. So,
yeah.
you cutting Starbucks and saving that $35 a week. I'm sorry, it sounds cute. Shout out to Dave Ramsey, but that's not gonna move the needle because you can sign one client and then that $35 a week means nothing. It's a drop in the bucket, right? So we started focusing on how do we help people make more money.
Mhm.
Sometimes that's giving you the clarity that, hey, don't you hire anybody else for the rest of the year? Yeah, but I think I need this. Well, then we need to start talking about capacity and tracking that. Go back and find out how many hours is your team working. Go find out why do we keep overpaying contractors? That's a huge one we see. Why? Because the scope for this super custom $25,000 website that you thought was like the biggest blessing in the world has gone on for an additional 3 months, which means you're overpaying your contractors because of the scope being out of whack. So we need to go to the contracts and better fit. Either A, we need to start charging more, B, renegotiate with the contractor, or if we love that contractor enough, let's just make them a full-time employee and then we get to control that cost. That's where we started moving towards because that's what our people needed. So I think it's been great. It's allowed me to travel all over the country. I mean, we've been I'm not gonna say every state because there's some states I want to go to, but like we've been to California, Texas, international now, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Mexico. Think we're doing Arkansas next. So like we've been all over learning, but this has been a great thing for us. And I just feel like that immersion is what helped us because people are like, oh, you're going to FHL? Phone hacking live for those of you
Yeah.
who don't know. Or are you going to the high level conference? Oh, dude, I'll be there. We can finally meet up. So I think even just seeing that and seeing us post about it, they're like, wow, this dude he legit. Like he knows exactly what he knows this person. Oh, he knows. So it helps to be so focused. And from an efficiency standpoint, it helps us as well because now I'm not looking at rental plus contractor plus real estate plus doctors. Like 85 to 90% of our client base is marketing agencies. So that even gives us more power there to serve because now I know, hey, why is your tech so low?
Mm.
Because if you're making around 50 grand, I got two of those and they paid this amount. Or we got clients that are making, 200,000 per month. Well, hey, they're spending over 80 grand in salaries. Why are you only spending 20? Either you got something that's so earth shattering that I need to go tell them about, or something here is not right. So that allows us to just see it from so many different angles and perspectives, and just serve clients at a high level.
Yeah, I think that's what I was also surprised by because again, when we first met, it's like this guy's awesome, but you felt like you knew the marketing agency space so well. I assume that's what you were, right? And so knowing that you're not, it's like, yeah, that is such a huge benefit to people. If I'm a marketing agency owner and you know, my firm knows my business as good and sometimes better than I do, man, what a huge asset resource to use you. So
Yeah, because ironically, and everybody laughs, I'm like, I am not a creative, and everybody just busts out laughing. Like, even going back to high school, right? We would do, you got to do group projects or a project in general. And I would always get like an A minus because I'd have all the data, but it'll be, you remember like those trifold boards? It would just be white and black. It's
yeah.
not gonna be colorful. I have to be like, my mom and my granddad are super creative. So I'd be like, Mom, you gotta help me make my board look good. So she'd tell me something to do and I'd do it. But prior to that, white and black trifold board or poster board or PowerPoint. And I got the A though, because I had answered every question, had all the information super thorough. So no, the things that we talked about are just things I've learned the past 3 years. And just paying attention, showing up to these different conferences, taking notes, because I'm doing that too. I'm not only at these conferences to meet other agency owners, but these are things I can go take back. Hey, they said the average profit margin is 20 to 25%, and we're at 18. We need to figure out how to get this up. Or hey, they talked about how to sell a business or what to look for if you want to acquire. And I remember you mentioned this as a 3-year goal. Hey, we need to map this out and start talking about these different pieces. That's what it allows me to do. But that just comes from paying attention there and then being locked in with our clients and what they're trying to do so we even know what to pay attention to. Because you guys start talking about AI, I'm still trying to wrap my head. Like I start, man, y'all get to going about that AI and I'm just like,
Hey, I'm right
wait,
there with you. We
you
got
know,
some smart guys on the team, but it's like, yeah, I'll let them take care of it. They
yeah,
got
just
it.
like
They
when
got
I'm sure we send y'all financials and y'all are like, that's what I do when y'all start talking about AI. I'm just like,
it.
oh, okay.
Oh,
Ooh,
I love it, man. So if I kind of want to shift gears now
okay.
from, what you've done. Well, let's say, you've serviced, yeah, so many clients. If someone, let's take on the thought of I'm a new marketing agency owner, about a year in. What are some of maybe like the things to avoid and the things to like, yeah, really reach, like seek and go after?
All right. It depends on the revenue range because some grow faster than others, right? There are some people they're doing it for a year, they're only making 8 grand a month. Some they've been only doing it for a year full time, but they're at 30 grand a month. Things I always try to help people with at the beginning of their journey. Try your best to keep it simple. Like, don't come in here talking about, oh, we need a silo and I need to be a so-and-so holding corp. And bro,
Yeah.
we need you to make more money first. Let's just start there. So don't try to do anything too crazy. You probably don't need to be an S corp yet. If you don't have a handle on your cash flow and your numbers, don't just jump into something like that, because the compliance keeps going up every year. And there are certain mandatory things you need to do that if your numbers are out of whack, you're going to mess it up and just jack it up and pay more in taxes. From a tax perspective, some things you can do: track everything that you spend. If you are using, I don't have any examples, but if you, oh wait, if you're using like a business card, a business credit card, Amex, put everything on there. Try not to spend it across 17 different cards and I use my personal for this. Do what you have to survive. But a year in, we should be a little bit more streamlined. So try to keep it all on whatever your primary business accounts are. Try not to hire super fast. I see some people, because I think we've kind of, and I'm saying we as part of the marketing family,
You're fully
um,
integrated now. Yeah.
yeah, I'm so integrated. But I think we try to push this narrative of like, hurry up and get out the business ASAP. So we start trying to get people to hire super fast. But then if you don't have enough leads and have brought in enough business, you're oversaturated on the talent side and you don't have enough work to give them, but then you're stressed about paying them. But some of those hires you shouldn't have made. So now you got to either tell the agency owner, hey, you need to cut somebody, or we need to hurry up and get some more sales because you're mad that you're barely making payroll, but we shouldn't have hired these people. But now that we got them, we need to go make some more sales. Or my personal favorite, sometimes the work is there for the people, but the owner just has it all. So every stage is different, but you have to be locked in for where you are, not necessarily your buddy, especially if they're in a different industry or offer different products. SEO agency doesn't work the same way as a PPC agency. Ads can help with SEO, but they're technically two different things. So your buddy may be an ads agency, you may be SEO. You can't just take everything as, ooh, this is what they said, and try to put that in your company.
No, that's great advice. Um, as you're, it's so awesome that you're even saying that specific of ad agency versus SEO agency. So everyone recognizes it. I mean, you do get into the details, which is super important. Um, if so, I'm started. What would be the thing aside from hiring? Is there any like really common financial mistakes you see people making that you wish you could be like, shout out to the world, please don't do this? Anything like that?
Don't do your own QuickBooks. Like, don't try to do your own financials. I'd almost rather people not do it, and then it's just a big glob for me to just do from scratch. Then they attempt to do it because it gets super nasty. So that would be one. Um, if you are like, well, I'll at least get it and turn it on so it's hooked up. Make sure you don't get QuickBooks like Self-Employed or Simple Start. Those are just, Self-Employed is a completely different database and type of software. The original, I think they may have upped it to 4 now. You want, I think it's QuickBooks Essentials. Just because it's going to give you everything you need. It's going to give you a balance sheet, an income statement, and other things. Those other ones are just cheaper alternatives, but they're not going to get you what you need. So that would be one. Taxes, put money to the side, please. I don't care if it's just put something. I'm not going to give you a number because everybody's at different stages, but put something to the side. Please know the more you make, the more they're going to take. So don't, if you made your first $100,000 year, so happy for you. Just know you're probably going to pay the most amount of taxes you ever paid before. So that's one. Go
Keep
ahead.
going, keep going.
All right, have a strategy. Like, what is the focus? The people that I see get distracted are the ones it takes longer to hit their revenue goals versus the people who know what they want. They focus in on it and they chase after it. So those are probably a couple of the things that I would just say you're in the first year. Watch out for that. And again, don't just do what your buddy says. Like, I'm sure your buddy loves you and they mean well, but they're not gonna bail you out when your cash flow is low. You know, they're not gonna help you pay off that credit card bill because you went and got to some program or bought some course that you really didn't need. You just needed to sell.
Yeah, money, Cameron, money. So as you're saying that, I guess the question that came to my mind is, at what point should I get someone to help me with my books? So, um, yeah, when is it like, no, just don't do that? Is that day one, or is it more like, okay, a few months in, like this is working, I am making some money, I should go find someone? What's your advice there?
Yeah, that's a great question, and we get asked that a lot. I think there are levels, right? Just like if you are offering somebody marketing, you're not going to tell them you need the full five spin plus a custom website and SEO up front on day one. Same thing here. You can probably get away with a bookkeeper, maybe 250, 350, 450, all the way up until I'd say I'll be nice today and say 10 to 15 grand.
Okay.
What we've seen is once you're hitting really close or right at 20 grand or more, the problems change. Now it's, man, I got so much work and I got to work 12 hours. Like we just signed somebody, was that yesterday? That's like, I'm working 6.5 days a week. And I'm like, how? Like, how are you? So at the 20 grand mark is when you're going to be like, okay, I need to start hiring. Whenever you start thinking about hiring, you need to start thinking about upgrading from a bookkeeper to more of an accountant CFO type, because now we need to start talking strategy. And remember, if you're making 20 grand a month, that's almost $250,000. Now, I don't know about you, but most of us don't start out making that. So you've never made $250,000 in a year before. There are consequences that come with that from a tax perspective, but there's also a lot of good things. Our job is to educate you on both and focus on how to continue to maximize those good things. So you can probably get away with a bookkeeper up to about 8 to 10 grand, but for sure, once you get close to 20, just go on and say, you know what, all right, this person has helped. That's great. But it's time for me to upgrade services into a fractional CFO type or very high quality accountant that can help you, because what you guys don't know, you would never know this. Bookkeepers are only taught putting it in the right bucket, right? All these pens plus this cup, office supplies, and here's a clean set of financials. That's all they're taught. Versus, because of not only our education and my experience, I know what it's like to project and let's talk about variances and trends and why your packages is not profitable, or for this webinar, which one you want to do, or instead of having 8 packages, let's get that down to 3, and these are your new starting points, or raising price. Those are consulting type things. And what
Yeah.
happens is a lot of times you guys ask the bookkeeper strategic questions. It's not their job, that's not their role, and that's not what they were taught. So you end up getting frustrated because you have somebody with a outdated in terms of what you need skill set. At the beginning, I needed to just be clean. Just tell me yes, office supplies. But at the 20 grand level, probably you could even say 15, but I'm gonna be nice today. At the 20 grand and up level, that doesn't cut it for you, because you're like, ooh, how do I keep hearing all this about payroll, and I got 2 team members now and a contractor. What's the difference between a contractor and an employee? Oh, they live in another state. How do I get state ID? Like, the bookkeeper doesn't know that. And we penalize them for something they were never taught. And they don't know how. Most accountants aren't the best with communication because we're analytical people. We just want to work. So just keep all that in mind. Over 20,000, it's time to come find a high quality accountant or fractional CFO. Under 15, you can probably get away and survive with just 250 to 450.
Yeah. Dude, Cameron, you're the man. Great advice. But if everyone needs to know more about climate consulting, who should be coming to you? Are you at that range right there, 15,000, somewhere in that area? It's like, okay, if you're in that spot or bigger, definitely hit you up.
Yeah, and I think to even give more value before I say specifically come work with us, we'd love it. But I think it's a matter of what do you need at that point in time.
Mm.
Again, if I'm making below 10 grand, you don't need any CFO strategies because your strategy should be what? Go sell some more. Just keep selling. That's your strategy. Nothing fancy. Make more money. Figure out how to get more leads and close them. Now at that 20 grand and up, see, we don't have the same problems. We're not struggling to pay bills and groceries, the baby's taken care of, etc. Now we need to start being more strategic. Where can my money go? How can I pay myself a consistent salary, not the whole 5K this month, 1,500 next month? How can we streamline that? How can I put the right people in place, packages, profiting, all of those things? So yes, if you're at 15,000, we'll say, or more, that's the perfect time to talk to us. If you're over 30 grand, should have talked to us yesterday because I'm pretty sure we can find some opportunities for you. And our client range is wide. We have a couple of, we call them passion projects, people who are, under that 10 grand mark. So it was like a whole God told me specifically to pick you and serve. But most of our rosters between the 20 grand all the way up to like 250 grand a month. So we have a wide variety of people, which allows us to see and know a lot. And they all require different things. We tell them we have our strategies, but each one begins to get customized because every agency is different. And that's what you should be looking for. Who's going to give me customized attention, unique and proactive attention, and who's going to help me to go on offense? We tell people, you want to be the Kansas City Chiefs, right? You want to attack. We don't want to play, who was the best defense in the league last year? I think the Cleveland Browns. Like, that's cool, but that means we're also being very reactive, which
Yeah.
stuff is happening after the fact. We want to be the Chiefs. We want to dictate tempo, dictate pace. We want to be strategic in where we're attacking and how we're doing it. And that way we're able to make better moves in a more efficient and less stressful way.
Dude, money. Go Chiefs, by the way.
Chiefs fan, but real recognizes real. Mahomes is the GOAT right now, so
Yeah. Enough said on that. My boys are diehard Chief fans
oh man,
before Mahomes, but that's
fly
okay.
Eagles fly.
Okay. Yeah. Um, do you guys offer any bookkeeping services?
Yes, so
Okay.
that's already included with everything. So don't get me wrong, this is important for data sake, but in our case, this is not value to you. The value is all the things we've talked about: the hiring, the salaries, the tax strategy, the how to make more money, how to drive profitability. That's what we specialize in. Will we have your books done? Of course, because this is what we're going to use to paint the picture, but this is the paint.
Yeah. Um, I guess the last question is, if I'm just starting out,
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, I need a bookkeeper. Is there something I should look for that I know will allow me to grow into a service like yours? Anything there that I should be careful of?
It just depends. So technically speaking, you can work with Ramrin Gilliams at the 250 mark and just know that, hey, once I hit this number, hey Cameron, I've been working hard. I'm ready to switch over. We do make some exceptions. My wife told me I'm allowed one passion project per 6 months. So, we understand that everybody doesn't need the top level stuff, but we do know that there are some people who are just like, dude, it has to be you. So, always hit us up. There's always a possibility that we can work something out. Or if worse comes to worse, we can at least give you some type of value for you to take home and implement until that. There's been some people we've said, hey, to be fair, we would be doing you a disservice trying to work with you at this stage. My job is not to take money from you. My job is to provide you with value. So we won't work with you. However, I'll give you items A, B, and C and come back in 6 months and you should be able to do blah, blah, blah. So just reach out, if nothing else, just to connect with us. We try to give a ton of value and free information over our socials about different case studies and ways we've helped people, or things that you need to be thinking about, or things we're learning from these different conferences. So if nothing else, follow us on socials because you'll get a lot of value just from that.
Yeah. Okay. Cameron, awesome. You're the man. KynLi Consulting, everyone reach out, right? It's better to reach out and get the information, right? And then you can make decisions from there on what to do and how to grow. So I
Yeah,
love
man.
it. Thanks for joining, Cameron. You're the man. Appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Next time. See you, dude.
See ya.